Respect. What do you say? Respect. Are you talking to me? Punk. All right. Michigan just took down Ohio State in their building in basketball. So, multi-sport. Michigan owns Ohio State. Hockey goes to them this weekend, and they are ranked number 8. Michigan looking to sweep every sport versus Ohio State. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, we're talking the college basketball resume ranking, not eye test. There's no eye test. This is just who have you beat, how many wins do you have, quality wins. And Auburn has 13 of them with a 2-loss record. So that's just ridiculous. Of course, they remain at number 1 in the resume ranking. The SEC has the top 5 resumes in college basketball to the chagrin of us Big Ten fans. On top of that, they have 4 more teams in the top 18. So 8 teams, 9 teams in the top 18. They have half of that as far as resumes go so far. The ACC has 2 in the top 8, 4 in the top 31. The Big Ten has a lot of middling resumes that could explode out of conference, but the best right now is at number 15, and you guessed it, it's Michigan's. We'll get to it. But right now, the Big Ten has 7 of the top 29 teams as far as resumes go. So let's look at these resumes where I see them every week. And like I said, the SEC has all the number 1 seeds as of right now. Auburn remains the same from last week. 23-2 they are. Houston, Iowa State, Memphis, Purdue, Missouri, at Texas, Mississippi State, at Georgia, Tennessee, at Ole Miss, Oklahoma, at Vanderbilt, at Alabama, the number 2 team this past couple of days. Auburn just keeps beating everybody, let alone their 2 losses are what? Duke and who else beat Auburn? Duke. I don't think it was in conference, was it? Was it in conference? Yeah, it might have been. Maybe Florida beat Duke. Anyway. They got the best resume by far, hands down. And then Alabama, even though they lost to Auburn at home, still has the second best resume in the nation. They haven't changed from last week either. They are number 2, 21-4. They beat McNeese State, Illinois, Houston, Creighton, Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, at Kentucky, Vanderbilt, at Mississippi State, Georgia, at Arkansas, and then at Texas. But man, Arkansas, if you look at all the teams that they lost to, holy shit. Pretty much everyone on this top 32 beat Arkansas. That's how tough their schedule has been this season. So Alabama's number 2, the second 1 seed. Texas A&M is number 3 overall, the third 1 seed. They are 20-5. They're up 2 spots from last week. They were a 2 seed last week, now a 1 seed. Creighton, Wake Forest, Texas Tech, Purdue, Texas, at Oklahoma, at Ole Miss, Oklahoma at home, Missouri on the road. Georgia and Arkansas are their quality wins this season. Tennessee is number 4, down one spot from last week, but still the last one seed. And they are 21-5 right now. They won at Louisville. They beat Baylor. They won at Illinois. They beat Arkansas. They won at Texas. They beat Georgia, Mississippi State, Florida, Missouri. They won at Oklahoma, and they beat Vanderbilt. That's 11 quality wins out of their 21 wins. That is impressive. Florida is the 5 seed, so the SEC gets the top 5 resumes as of right now. They move up one spot from last week from 6 to 5. They are 22-3. They won at Florida State, which is now a quality win. They beat Wake Forest. They beat Tennessee. At Arkansas everyone beats Arkansas. Texas, Georgia, Vanderbilt. They won at Auburn, and they won at Mississippi State. See, I knew Auburn's second loss was to an SEC team. It was Florida. I was right. So, that is an amazing record. Who has the 6th best resume and will be a 2 seed as of right now? That is Duke. They're down 2 spots from last week. So they were a 1 seed. Now they are a 2 seed. 22-3 record. They won at Arizona. They beat Auburn. They also beat Louisville on the road, and that's why this resume ranking took so long tonight. We were all waiting on Louisville's blowout of Notre Dame tonight to finalize this ranking, but they are a quality win, especially on the road for Duke. George Mason is a quality win still. At SMU, Pitt, at Wake Forest, and they beat Stanford. Number 7 and the 3rd 2 seed is St. John's. St. John's, man, the Johnnies are up 3 spots from last week. 22-4 is their record. They beat New Mexico. They won at Xavier. They beat Georgetown, and then they beat Xavier at home. And then they went on the road and beat Georgetown. So they swept those 2 teams. They beat Marquette. They won at Connecticut, and they beat Creighton recently. So that vaults them all the way up to number 7. Number 8 in the college basketball resume ranking is Clemson, the final 2 seed, up 4 spots from last week. 21-5 record for Clemson. They beat San Francisco, who's still a quality win. Kentucky at home. Wake Forest, Stanford, Florida State. They won at Pitt. They beat Duke, and they beat Florida State on the road. Number 8 is Clemson. So number 9, we're getting into the 3 seeds now here. Marquette has a 19-6 record. They are up 4 spots, actually, from last week, even though I believe they lost a game. Their quality, their wins got better. The teams that they beat won. George Mason won. Maryland won. They won at Maryland. They beat Purdue. They beat Georgia, Wisconsin. So they went on a tear of the Big Ten. And they beat Xavier at Xavier. They beat Creighton, and they beat Georgetown. So they are the number 9 team, a 3 seed. Memphis is number 10, 21-5 record, down 3 spots from last week. Missouri, San Francisco, Connecticut, Michigan State. They beat Clemson on the road, but are still behind them because of the resume. They beat Miss and they beat North Texas at home, but because of the resume that Memphis has, because they only have 1 more quality win than they do losses, that's the key. That is the key in determining how good a schedule is, and I think this ranking here masters it. So take it for what you will. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the ranking. But Missouri is number 11, and they are up 12 spots. They were recently very high in the college basketball resume ranking, and then dipped very low. Now they move up 12 spots to number 11, 19-6. They beat Kansas. They beat Vanderbilt. They won at Florida. They beat Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma at home. They won at Mississippi State and at Georgia. So they have the 11th best resume in the nation. St. Mary's Christian is number 12, down 4 spots from last week. They have a 23-4 record that's holding them very high, but they also have 7 quality wins. Akron from the MAC right now is leading that conference and only has 5 losses. Nebraska is a quality win from the Big Ten. San Francisco, we've talked about before. Santa Clara is emerging as a great team in the West Coast Conference. SMC beat them on the road. They beat Gonzaga, and they beat Oregon State on the road, and then Santa Clara again at home. That's the 12th best resume in the nation. The 13th best resume and the first 4 seed is Houston. They are 21-4. They beat BYU and West Virginia at home. They won at Kansas, at West Virginia, so they swept West Virginia. They beat Baylor, and they won at Arizona. They're down 2 spots from last week. Mississippi State is the number 14 best resume, up 8 spots from last week. 18-7 record, but listen to the wins. At SMU, Pitt, McNeese State, at Memphis, who is up there, at Vanderbilt is a good win. Mississippi is coming up here in these rankings. Actually, they already, they're coming up. Georgia on the road, and then they beat Mississippi at their house too, so they swept Ole Miss. They are the 14th best resume. Now, yours truly. The Michigan Wolverines moved up 6 spots from last week after beating Purdue and then Ohio State on the road. Ohio State does not qualify as a quality win because of their 11 losses now. But Oregon does. Miami of Ohio still does. Xavier, they won at Wisconsin, at UCLA as well. So 6 quality wins, 5 losses for the Wolverines. They are number 15 and a 4 seed now. The last 4 seed at number 16, up 1 spot from last week, is New Mexico. New Mexico is now 22-4. They beat UCLA as well at home, VCU, San Diego State, and they beat Utah State twice. Once at their house, once at home. They swept them. They are number 16 in the resume department. Number 17 is a second Big Ten team, Purdue, down 8 spots from last week. They beat Yale, they beat Alabama, they beat Ole Miss, Maryland, Nebraska. They won at Oregon, and they destroyed Michigan at home. But their record is 19-7 now, so 17th best resume. Now, the 18th best resume is Kentucky, down 3 spots from last week, a 17-8 record. Still with the wins over Duke, Gonzaga, Louisville, Florida. They won at Mississippi State. They beat Texas A&M, who is the number 3 team now. And they beat Tennessee, both home and away, recently, who is the number 4 team now. So even though Kentucky has 8 losses, their wins have them as the 18th best resume. The 19th best resume. I told you Ole Miss was coming up, and here they are, up 5 spots from last week. They are 19-7. They beat BYU. They won at Louisville. They beat Georgia. They won at Arkansas, and they won at Alabama. They beat Texas, and they beat Kentucky. So why are they behind Kentucky? Like I told you, I value wins. This ranking values quality wins. All right. Louisville is the last 5 seed, up 8 spots from last week. They are number 20 now after beating Notre Dame tonight, which really didn't affect anything. But they are 20-6. They beat West Virginia. They won at Wake Forest. They beat Clemson. They won at Pitt, at SMU, and they beat Wake Forest again at home. Or no, excuse me, the first time. So, number 21 in the first 6 seed is Iowa State. They are down 2 spots from last week. They were a 5 seed, now a 6 seed in the CBRR. They have a 20-5 record. They beat Marquette. They beat Baylor. They won at Texas Tech. They beat Kansas and Cincinnati. Them are their 5 quality wins so far this season. Speaking of Texas Tech, they are down 2 spots and right behind Iowa State, same as last week. They have a 20-5 record as well. They won at BYU. They beat Arizona. They won at Cincinnati, at Houston, and they beat Baylor at home. Number 23 is Wisconsin, another 20-5 team. Up 9 spots from last week. We're going to talk about another 20-5 team that dropped 6 spots from last week right after this, and it's from the Big Ten. But Wisconsin is up 9 spots, man. 20-5. They beat Arizona. They beat Pitt. They beat Nebraska, who's looking better and better. They won at Purdue just Saturday. So they moved up in the resume ranking. The 24 ranked team is Michigan State, who moved down 6 spots. 20-5 record. They beat Nebraska. They beat Illinois, both home and away now, and they have that win versus Oregon. So they are the last 6 seed. The 7 seeds are Maryland. Starts with Maryland at number 25 overall. Up 4 spots from last week with a 20-6 record now. They beat UCLA, Nebraska. They won at Illinois. They beat Wisconsin, and then they won at Nebraska. So good quality wins for Maryland. And then another Big Ten team, UCLA, gets a 7 seed as well. They're down 12 spots from last week. So they were up in the 4-3 range, but now with a 19-7 record. And I don't think it's anything of their fault. It's their opponents that took an L. But Oregon, at Oregon, is still a good win for them. Arizona, Gonzaga, Wisconsin, Oregon at home, and then Michigan State at home are all still quality wins. You could jumble all these Big Ten teams up and spit them out however you want. Let me know in the comments below how you would have them as far as, as eye tests go and actually picking the teams. But I digress. The third 7 seed, number 27 overall, is Connecticut, who was not ranked last week. They had been ranked all season but dropped out of the resume ranking last week. 17-8 record. They beat Baylor. They won at Texas. They beat Gonzaga, Xavier, and they won at Georgetown. They beat Marquette, and they beat Creighton. Number 28 is Utah State, down 2 spots. They just keep dropping. But a 22-4 record for them. They beat North Texas, who's still a good quality win. They won at St. Mary's, and they won at San Diego State. Number 29 is Oregon, so the first 8 seed. So we're talking 8-9 matchups. We're talking bubble teams if there are bid stealers from the other conferences. So Oregon was not ranked in the last video last week, but they have an 18-8 record now. They quality wins at Oregon State. They beat Texas A&M, the third best team in this ranking. They beat San Diego State. They beat Alabama, the second best team in this ranking. They beat Stanford, and they beat Maryland. Down 5 spots from last week is Arizona at number 30. 17-8 record as well. They won at Cincinnati, at West Virginia. They beat Baylor, Iowa State at home. They won at BYU, and they beat Texas Tech. So good wins still there, but on the bubble. Wake Forest is number 31, not ranked last week. They're 19-7 right now. They beat Michigan at home. One possession game, barely, but that's a quality win for Wake Forest. Stanford, Pitt, they won at Stanford, and they won at SMU. So they're hanging on by a thread to some of these quality wins here, but it's the 31st best resume as of right now. And then the last team on the resume ranking is UC San Diego at number 32. They are down 5 spots from last week, but they beat Utah State on the road, and they beat UC Irvine, who was formerly the top team in their conference, on the road, and avenged their loss. So there you go. That is the college basketball resume ranking this week. The 1 seeds are as follows: Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M, Tennessee, all SEC. The 2 seeds are Florida, Duke, St. John's, and Clemson. The 3 seeds are Marquette, Memphis, Missouri, and St. Mary's. The 4 seeds are Houston, Mississippi State, Michigan, and New Mexico. The 5 seeds are Purdue, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Louisville. And the 6 seeds are Iowa State, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. And the 7 seeds are Maryland, UCLA, Connecticut, Utah State. And the 8 seeds on the bubble, they are hoping for no one to steal bids from the lesser conferences. The 8 seeds are Oregon, Arizona, Wake Forest, and UC San Diego. Are they an at-large team? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. With everybody, thank you to everyone who has subscribed already. Go check out all of the other videos on the channel, and have a great night. Thank you.